Hi, everybody. It's Thursday night, and we're right in the middle of this horrible heat wave in Utah. I've been coming out every morning about 6 o'clock and watering all the plants and making sure that they've been given a big, long, deep drink. And then I come out at night to do the same thing. And I don't know if you can hear it, but on this side, I've got sprinklers on the lawn. And on that side, I've got sprinklers on the garden. And I thought while I was here, I'd just get on and I'd talk a little bit about what's happening in the garden with this heat wave. I came out last night and I planted rutabaga and I planted parsnips for my daughter because she wants to do them. And before it was over, I planted 300 parsnips. And I have no idea how many rutabaga, because you know how tiny a rutabaga seed is? It's like the pin point of a pen. And I just told my daughter afterwards, I said, you're just going to have to come down here and thin these because I don't know where they went because they were so tiny. But I planted 300 parsnip seeds. She better like parsnips and she better do stuff with them. It's a good time to plant those kind of things, even if it's the middle of July, because I have a fairly short growing season. And so, the sprinklers are getting ready to change. They're going to be closer to me. So you're either going to hear them more or I'm going to get wet. One of the two. Or maybe both. I don't know. But anyway, I went ahead and got those planted. And you've got to keep those really, really wet if you're going to be planting things this late in the season. And anyway, I got that done. And then I came out and I looked. And the kohlrabi are a lot bigger than they were yesterday, and so is everything else. When I came out here yesterday, or this morning, I did do some pollinating on some zucchini plants, and those puppies are the ones I pollinated just the other day are probably this big. I think we'll be eating zucchini by the end of the week. Well, by probably Saturday, they'll be ready to pick. So that was pretty fun, except I looked at those plants, and holy Hannah, they are huge. So I've really got to get them tied up. Hopefully tomorrow, I hope I can get out here and water the garden really fast because I had a major water break yesterday, and they're going to come turn off my water and fix the break. And I'm so grateful for those that are helping me do that. But I've got to get all of those squash plants have got to be tied up because if they're not, they're just going to be growing out and over and around everything. I think that the things that are really having a struggle right now are some of the pepper plants. And I think tomorrow, too, before they turn off the water, I'm going to hurry and fertilize all the pepper plants. Maybe the entire garden again, because I'm not sure. Man, I've got bugs everywhere. They're flying in my hair. They're flying up my nose. But anyway, I've got to get everything fertilized again. And I think now's probably a good time. You can fertilize stuff as long as you will keep it moist. Now, what I'm going to be doing is using a water soluble, and I'm just going to be spraying it over the top, kind of like you would a Miracle-Gro or something like that. I don't use Miracle-Gro. I use another water soluble, but they're all about the same. And I'm going to make sure and do that a lot for my onion plants because my onions are looking really good, but they are heavy feeders, if you remember. And so you've got to go ahead and feed them even more than everything else in your garden. So I'll probably try to get that done tomorrow before it gets too hot also. I think I've got a couple of tomatoes they're going to be able to pick by the end of the summer, or by the end of the weekend. Hopefully by the end of the summer, by the end of the weekend. And me and my dad used to have a race to find out who would have the first red tomato. Well, I think my mom's going to beat me this year. But that was always so much fun between me and my dad because we like to give each other a bad time. My dad is one of my inspirations when it comes to gardening. I always look back and say, why do you garden, Chris? And I have my daughter, my kids, my boys, they don't understand why I garden at all. But I look back at when I was growing up, when I was younger, my mom always had a garden. As I remember more, and we moved to Utah, we had a big garden out in front, and we had potatoes and peppers and tomatoes and radishes. My dad loved radishes, and he always had at least one row of radishes. And anyway, then my mom always helped do all that. And I always swore that I'd never plant potatoes because that is so much work to plant them and so much work to dig them up at the end of the season. But whatever you get from them is always worth the effort, just like everything else in the garden. So I had these two wonderful examples, and my mom is still such an example to me. She goes out every morning, she takes care of her chickens, and then she goes out and she starts working in the garden until my grandkids come. She babysits them while my daughter works, and she's just an inspiration to me. I love her very much. And anyway, she's always been just an example of hard work. She worked a couple of jobs when my dad first started the company that we had, and then she just continued to work. When I was younger, she always had daycare. She always did that, and now she takes care of those two little rugrats of my daughters, and then she keeps this garden, and she has a beautiful yard, and she has fruit trees, and she has a lot of help from my nephew. And Dustin, I appreciate everything you do for my mom. But it's amazing to me how excited she is when things are growing out there, and that's where I get it from. And some people ask me, why did you start gardening? And when me and my husband were very first married, the prophet of my church came on and said, you guys need to have a garden. And so the first gardens that we planted were gardens of obedience. And I think the first garden we had zucchini, tomatoes, and peppers in it. I'm not sure that we did anything except just eat out of the garden. But as our family grew and the space we had for a garden grew, then we had more and different things. But when we first moved up here, we started out with just a few raised beds, and those raised beds have been moved a couple of times. Like when Ken built my canning shed for me, we had to move a couple of the beds because they were in the way. And then last year, my daughter and her husband helped me build some more raised beds, and then I started, in the last couple of years, I started growing in containers and in grow bags. And I turned the basketball hoop the basketball area that used to be a basketball court, because that was one of the first things the kids said that they wanted when we built this house up here, was they wanted a basketball court. Well, that basketball court now has a whole bunch of grow beds on it, and if you see back there, it's got containers. Those containers haven't been planted yet, but they might still, you don't know. There might be something that can be planted, because if it's out there, I'm going to find it. But anyway, that's why I grow, and I have a garden, because I love to see things grow. At the beginning of the season, you'll see me out in the orchard looking to see if anything has got blossoms on it. And I just act like a school kid when I see that there's blossoms on those fruit trees. And it's the same way when I start putting seeds in the dirt out in the greenhouse. When things start coming up, it's just like, yay, I'm so excited. And I guess that not only does this just give me great joy because I like to watch things grow, but it's so relaxing to me. And I know some gardens aren't relaxing to people, that they find they're just something they have to do, and they're a lot of work. And they are a lot of work, but they also can be so relaxing and so fulfilling. And to be able to go out and pick that very first zucchini and take it in and eat it. Yeah, I know. Some of you don't like the zucchini. I like zucchini. And a tomato, the very first tomato. I've got a couple of tomatoes out there that'll probably be ready by the end of the weekend. And me and my dad used to have races. Did I already say that? We used to have races to see who had the first tomato turn right. And he usually beat me, and I think my mom's going to beat me this year. She's got a tomato that she's about ready to pick. But, yeah, I mean, it was good-natured. Me and my dad could talk about what we were growing, and even when he got sick, he was really interested in what I was doing when it came to the garden. So that's where my inspiration's from. It's from my mom and my dad, and they're both great examples to me. And the garden that I do now is, some people say, why do you plant so much? There's like you, but it's not just me. I share my bounty. I share my bounty with my mom. I share my bounty with my sister and with my daughter. And we get together and we make soup and we can salsa, and my mom cans pickled beets because Kaylee loves pickled beets. And I can see and watch the growth that's taking place in Kaylee and Baylor because they love the garden. They love to come out here. Baylor likes to just dig in the dirt pretty much anywhere. And so Kaylee's a little more refined on the things she does. She was pretty excited when we planted the tomato or the strawberry patch because that's pretty much her strawberry patch. She was pretty excited when we planted the pumpkins because she wants to have a jack-o'-lantern. So I'm grateful. They're the two closest of my grandkids geographically, and so they're able to spend time up here. But they're not the only ones of my grandkids that have been parts of my gardening. My two oldest grandsons at two different times, I had some brain surgery, and one of them came up with their friend and helped plant the garden because I couldn't stand up that long. I was pretty dizzy when it needed to be done. And so I appreciate that. And then I can't remember why. I think it might have been when I had one of my knees done or something, that the other one came up and helped. And then all of my kids, all my grandsons, my son-in-law, my sons, the little ones, the big ones, everybody was here, and they put up my greenhouse. I guess it's been a year ago, last November. So I've had that greenhouse for 2 seasons, and I love that greenhouse, and I love that they came out there and did that for me because that was really a labor of love because it was a pain in the butt to build, but it's an amazing structure, and they did such a good job. One of them was out there. He works in surveying, and so they were setting markers and putting down the foundation for it, and another one of them, 2 or 3 of them became the muscle. And I have pictures of my 2 sons looking at the instructions, and then they'd look at me and just shake their head and said, "This is not going to go together." And I said, "You can figure it out." And they did. And it's amazing. They did such a good job. So thank you, guys. If I haven't told you thank you from the bottom of my heart. So that's why I garden. Why do you garden? Do you find relaxation in it? Do you find joy in it? Or you do it because it's an act of obedience? Do you do it because your mom and dad would be disappointed if you didn't do it? One of my grandsons bought a new house this spring, and he got some raised beds, and they were going to plant them. I don't know if they ever got planted. I'm not sure they ever got built, but I mean, he's pointed in the right direction. And one of my sons, he went to an auction online, and he bought a raised bed. And I asked him, "What are you going to plant in it? Tomatoes, peppers?" He said, "Nope, we're going to plant squash." And I said, "Just squash?" And he said, "That's what we eat. So we're going to plant squash." It's like, okay. Well, the last time I checked, that raised bed wasn't put together yet. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to have any squash this year, but maybe I could sneak them in a little zucchini one day on a trip or something. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a few zucchini. But you know what? One of the things that I love the most about my garden and my yard is right over here, and I don't know if you can see it very good. It's right there. Well, you can see my dog. He's coming up the block. But right there in that flower bed behind the dog are my lilies. And of course, right now, those Asian lilies are in full bloom. Those white ones are just beautiful, aren't they? My lily bed started with, my great-grandmother had a ditch in front of her house. And I always remembered that there were these beautiful daylilies all along that ditch all summer long. And when we moved back to Utah, my mom went and got some of those daylilies, and she planted them around her house. And then when we were in the house before this one, there was a ditch bank right in front of my house. And so I went and I got some of those daylilies from my mom, and I planted them along that ditch bank. And we just planted them, and then we would, separate the, oh gosh, guys, I'm not able to hold this very good. But anyway, they would go out, and every year I would go out and I would separate those lilies, and I would move them even further down the ditch bank, so that every night when I came home, those beautiful lilies would be there watching for me all summer long. And then when we moved up here, I took some of those lilies with me, and I've separated them a couple of times. They need to be separated again, and I think I'm going to do that and maybe move them into another bed because I love them. And then the big tall ones, the ones that are white ones, are Asian lilies, and they're taller than a daylily. They last a little bit longer than a daylily. They come in a few different colors than daylilies. Now, I have two different colors of daylilies over there. The first ones that I got from my great-grandmother's batch are the orange daylilies that are just beautiful. And then I have some that are a rust color, and they're also really pretty. I ordered them somewhere. I don't know where I got them from, but they are cool. And then the rest of them are the Asian lilies, and I've got white of those, and I've got probably mauve and burgundy colored and yellow and orange. I think that's about the only colors that are over there. They are so pretty, and I just love that bed. I love this time of year when they're blooming, and right now, I mean, they're blooming really well right now, but they'll probably be blooming for another month, and that's one of the things I love about them. And then over in that flower bed, I cleaned it out last year, and I was going to make it just a medicinal one, and there are some medicinal herbs in there, but there's a lot of daisies because my mom loves daisies, and I love daisies too, and that's why I put them in there. And so there's quite a few daisies in there, and then there's some columbine that are really pretty, and they come back every year. And then I've got some blue, I don't even know what they are, but they are so cool. They're over on the other corner, and I was going to dig them up, but I just couldn't bring myself to do that because they're just too pretty. So that's my yard. One day I'll probably take you on a tour of it when the weeds are pulled. Maybe. Right after the grass is mowed. And when my garden's finished, there's a few things I want to clean up before I show you everything that's going on in the garden. But I want you to know that I appreciate you guys watching these videos. I have probably way more fun doing them than you ever do watching them. But think about why you garden. Put it in the comments below. Tell me why you garden. Tell me what you learned from gardening. Does it help you to grow? If you're growing in the dirt, are you also growing in your heart or growing in your mind? Just tell me why you do this, and I'll respond to everybody. I love comments, and it's just fun. It's just fun. This video, this channel is fun. I learn so much because if I want to present an idea to you guys, I want to go out and research it and make sure that I know what I'm talking about before I start it, if it's something new to me. But this weekend is still supposed to get even hotter. I think today was 98. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 100, and I don't know what it's supposed to be on Saturday. My grandson's getting married on Saturday, and we're going to be in Salt Lake for the wedding, and I think it's supposed to be 106. And it's an outdoor wedding at 5 o'clock, so we might all melt, but we'll be together as a family, so we'll melt as one. But you guys have a great night. Have a great weekend of what's coming up. Enjoy yourself. I hope you can get out in the garden. I hope that it cools down enough, even if you have to come out here at 10 o'clock like I am tonight. Sorry about the lighting, but that was the first thing we did when we put in the basketball hoop. Court was put up the basketball hoop, which is still here. Yep, right there. I guess I could practice basketball while I'm waiting for the garden to water. But we also put a light out here so that the kids could bring all of their friends and have a good time here in the basketball court. So anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm going to go turn off the water, and I'm going to go in and do the dishes. Yeah, not much fun. But it's great to talk to you, and we'll talk to you soon.